Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to build a copper heater slash stove. It is super simple to build. It only requires just a minimal amount of products. One of them you've probably never heard of, but I'll show you exactly how it works and how to mix it and make sure that it seals our copper tubing properly. But this will work great for an emergency stove or an emergency heater depending on the size you make it. You're not limited to using the full stick of copper as I have here, 12 inches, and I'll put a link in the description to this particular copper, but you can cut it much smaller and it still works just as great. So let's get started and I'll show you exactly how to put this together for a DIY project heater, stove, easy to build. Now I've got two different sizes of copper here, but I ordered these 12-inch pieces from Amazon and they arrived just the other day. I think it was a 2 or 3 pack, but anyways, this is what you're gonna need. You can use this size or you can upsize to the next, which is a little bit larger. You can see there's slightly bigger. This is, I believe, 3/4, and this is maybe 3/8. But anyways, copper pipe is the main thing you want to do. You can do a little bit of sanding on it to remove any coating they may have sprayed on it to make it a little bit safer to burn indoors. But a good outdoor burn for about 1 hour to 2 hours, and it'll be perfectly safe to use. It's just pure copper, and so let's get started on putting it together. Now, one of the things you're going to need to make this work is JB Weld Extreme Heat. There's different types of JB Weld, and probably the standard would work better, but I wanted to use extreme heat because we are using this for an open flame. When you first get this, you'll open it up and you might see that it looks like it's not properly mixed. When I first opened this a few days ago, it was just a lump on one side, and so you'll need to just take it and mix it together. I'd say a good 5 to 6 minute stir, and you'll kind of start getting it to go from that milky color to a grayish color. So just remember, you want to continue to stir this very well because you want it to seal properly. And I'll show you on the first piece of copper pipe, what I've done is I've sealed both ends with something a little bit unique, but it should seal properly and not let any of our fuel leak out. So that's what you're looking for, is a grayish color on your JB Weld Extreme Heat. Now our 12-inch piece of copper, I've sealed both ends with a penny on each side so we can prevent any leaks of our fuel. And so I did this about 24 hours ago because I wanted to make sure that this had a good seal and it wouldn't leak out. So that's the first thing you need to do, is you need to seal both ends if you've got this exact size piece of copper pipe. This size I've opted to do just a couple of copper end caps. I haven't sealed that yet. We'll do that in just a minute. But I want to go ahead and proceed with a 12-inch piece of pipe, and I'll show you how to elevate it off of your surface and exactly how to turn it into a very nice room heater or a stove. Now we want our flames to be coming out of a very small hole. So I've got this very small drill bit, less than 1/16 of an inch, maybe 1/32. I'm not exactly sure, but it's very small. We're going to go down our full length of copper pipe, and about every 1/2 to 3/4 inch we're going to put a hole so our flame, our jets can be coming out of it just right. So I've got two different types of pipe I'm going to show you today, but on this first one I only want to drill holes halfway down, and now we're going to create a stand, and I'll show you how to get the fuel into our pipe. Now what I'm using to create a stand is actually what I use in the bonsai field that I enjoy as a hobby, but this type of copper wiring is super easy to bend and is super easy to work with, and yet it's pretty strong. This is probably about 2 millimeters, so let's go ahead and cut a piece and I'll show you how to turn it into a stand for our initial stove. All right, so we've got 2 pieces of copper wire, and this is basically about the same size. I guess it's a little bit more than 1 foot long, but let's take our piece of copper pipe and let's wrap it around the end in a complete circle. And this is going to be the legs, but we're going to make it as stable as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to bend the bottom of each one of these pieces of copper and kind of create a triangle, so that way it's fairly stable and we can push that out just a little bit, and so it's a little bit less likely to fall over in either direction. So as you can see, that's what we're looking for, is to create a piece of copper like that, and we're going to take the end and bend it. It's a little bit harder to bend these ends at a sharp 90, so we're just going to do that with a pair of pliers. So as you can see, we've got our stand, really easy to put together. We can spread it out. It's really easy to work with this copper. So that's the first one we're making. Now second, do the exact same thing on the opposite end. It doesn't matter if it's between the two of our ports here, but we're just going to put it right there and bend it around exactly the way we did the first one. Now, the reason I only did one side is I want to be able to use the other side as kind of a reservoir and have this side as our element side where our flames are coming out. So this can easily be, we can arrange something in a half circle shape, so we could put either a stove, a pot. We use it as a stove. We can put a pot over it or any type of cookware, a skillet, whatever we need, but just have to create an additional thing. You can do that out of a lot of different items. You could even use it on a trail. You could just use stones around it, and this could be your entire stove inside of your backpack. So let's fill our copper pipe and do a test run of our stove heater. Now, a hypodermic needle would be ideal to refill this, so we can use whatever type of fuel we want, but the more pure your fuel, such as a denatured alcohol or a 99% alcohol, you're going to have less soot and fumes, so I'd recommend that. But you're going to need a really sharp point to get in, of course, depending on what size drill bit you use. But probably with these, it's going to take a hypodermic. You can also use something like a marinade injector. I had one of these in my kitchen, so you can use either one depending on the size of holes you've drilled into your copper pipe. Now, as I said earlier, I would say the best thing you can use is denatured alcohol, and I actually ordered this online and had it delivered, but you can't get it at hardware stores and places like that. But for the purpose of the video, I'm going to use a less pure form of alcohol that you'll be able to see the flames just a little bit easier. All right, so let's fill our copper pipe, and again, I'm using the 70% alcohol, and that's probably going to be more than we need, but I just want to make sure you're able to clearly see this and how you add it. Now, I found using the marinade injector actually worked a little bit better because I resized the hole in the very end, which made it a little bit easier to fill and refill. So let's go ahead and light it and see what happens. Now, it's hard to see, but in using the more pure fuel, I've switched up to that. I think this burns a lot better. There's still a little bit of impurities in it, but I'm going to cut the light out so you can see how well it actually burns. So I've cut some of the lights out in the greenhouse, but we still have a lot of light in here, but it puts out a huge amount of heat. You could easily heat a small room with this, but I would say as the fuel burns down, the flame becomes a little bit less, but it will put out a massive amount of heat in a short amount of time, but it's just got to burn off a little bit of the excess. I overfilled there, so it's really going to take a little bit of time before the flames get right down to where I can cook over them. But if you're wanting to heat, it's the perfect thing to heat with, and you can see there's some quite large flames coming out, maybe 5 to 6 inches tall. All right, so we're going to JB weld the smaller piece of copper pipe we have. We've got our end caps in place. We're just going to put a little bit of the JB weld on here so we can get a good seal. Okay, put our end cap back on. We have to do a little bit of cleaning with a paper towel. It is a very tight seal. All right, and I'm just going to clean that up with a paper towel a little bit, but we have an extremely tight seal there. And so we're going to do the opposite side, and we'll be ready to put our holes into our pocket stove here. All right, I'm cleaning up the excess JB weld there. We have a lot inside of the cap, so we don't have to have any on the exterior, but I just want to get as much off the pipe as possible. Just clean it up quite well. All right, we're doing the same thing to the opposite side. Just put a liberal amount on there, and then we'll put our cap back on. All right, we'll just put that back on there. It's really a tight fit now, so you kind of have to do a little bit of forcing on it. All right, get our paper towel and clean that off again. And this will be completely set in about 24 hours. Now the next thing, we're going to drill a set of holes again, about a quarter of an inch apart down the one side of the pipe. So this flute pipe, and that's what I'm calling these because it looks like a flute, but this one burned for a solid 30 minutes, so if you needed to cook something, it would be perfect. It's still very hot to the touch. I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to refill our small one. I made some small legs out of the soft copper pipe, and I'll give you a close-up. The sun is set, so hopefully I can get some better images of the flame. I'm opting to use the denatured alcohol because I think it burns better. So there you go. Let's refill that, and we'll take a close look at the flames after sunset. Okay, let's relight and see how it works. Now you can adjust the flame by slowly turning the cylinder, and it will increase the amount of fuel getting to the surface. You just slowly twist it, make sure you're wearing a good pair of thick gloves. And as you turn that, the fuel will get a little closer to the side, and you can turn it into a raging fire or back into your smaller flame going there. All right, so I've moved to a darkened part of the greenhouse where I can cut the lights off, light both of them, and let you see what kind of flames, because this fuel is a little bit more pure and it's a little bit harder to see once it gets to burning well. So let's take a look in total darkness. So guys, I've let them burn for a solid 30 minutes and they're slowly starting to fade now. And this one's the smaller of the 6-inch, what I call flute pipes, is burning out. So it's a little bit less practical than some of the others, but I think it's a fun experiment. And you could definitely make use of the smaller one in a backpack if you're going camping. So it's just a different type of stove I made, and I think the best fuel to use is the denatured alcohol, whether inside or outside. It seems to burn a little bit better because it's a lot purer. So guys, if you have a question about this video or any previous video, please leave a message for me after you become a subscriber. I always respond to subscribers twice as fast because I get so many comments. So guys, have a great day.